welcome. This is As Good As It Gets with Nick Clements.
Fucking hell, there's a lot of you bastards turned up, isn't it? Jesus. So every 10 years, I do something unique or stupid or strange or whatever it is. And this is it. It's going to be my 60th birthday. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be this stupid, this uniquely stupid to do this kind of a gig. Fucking hell. And when I was 50, I was uniquely stupid to go and make a documentary film with a semi-nomadic tribe in northern Kenya, as you do, and on the male circumcision ritual. Copies of the film are available at the back of the store. When I was 40, I was employed by the British Council to make a 150-foot-long mosaic mural with 200 school children in Delhi and Jaipur. As you do. Uniquely wonderful experience. When I was 30, my son was born. A uniquely wonderful experience. Something that will never happen again, hopefully. And when I was 20, I don't want him to be born again, do we really? He's fucking 30, for Christ's sake. When I was 20, I worked in a children's home. I was employed to work in a children's home. And I'll explain a little bit about that in the future. And when I was 10, the unique feature that happened in my life was that England won the World Cup. Never to be happening again. So, yeah, okay, good. The thing about being me is that I've reached the age now where I can remember when I reincarnated beforehand. So it's really sad and tragic because I was so famous and so wonderful in previous lives. And I'm fucking Nick Clements from Barnet this time around. It's like so depressing, isn't it? It's like, oh, fucking hell. You know, I was Henry VII's illegitimate daughter. Fucking laughing at, for Christ's sake. It was, I only lived for 2 months, but I had an impact. I was William Shakespeare's uncle. Fantastic. And I used to go and say to him, William, what a load of wank you're writing. Just, come on, for fuck's sake, get a job. Get a proper job. Nobody does this kind of writing sonnet malarkey. Jesus Christ. Yeah? And then, well, the best gig of them all was I was I was a Paraguayan god of pestilence and disease. I ruled for 2,000 years. Fuck that. And I'm fucking Nick Clements from Barnet this time round. Jesus fucking Christ. What a wank. What a disappointment. When I got told, you're going to be Nick Clements from Barnet this time round. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah? So, as you might have noticed, I tend to swear a lot. It's the one thing me and Stephen Fry agree on is the fact that actually swearing is very good for your health. It's very good for your well-being. So, well, I'm going to give you the opportunity now to swear at me. And I will swear at you, and then you swear at me. Yeah? So we get it off our chests, just get it out of the way. You fucking wanker. And I want you to really go for it. Absolutely, all of that, we've got to join in. And, I'm in charge. I'm in fucking charge here. I'll let you swear when I let you swear. None of this. So, okay, you ready for it? What I'm going to do is I'm going to swear at you, and then I'll count to 3 and you swear back at me. I'm a fucking god, I can take anything. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine how I was cursed in my previous lives? So this is called community cursing. It's a very important thing to get involved in. It's a very fabulous thing to get involved in, right? Community cursing. right? I'll swear and then I'll count to 3 and you swear back at me, right? And I want it serious. I'm not fucking about here, right? Okay? So, deep.
You're all on film.
Absolutely, you're all on film. So, 1, 2, 3. No, oh no, it's me. All right, okay. So I'll do it first. You fucking load of wanky, bloody new age wankers from Stroud. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. You fucking load of wankers. Motherfucking gits. 1, 2, 3. Wow, fantastic. Well done, fantastic. Good stuff. Whew. Cathartic. You all owe me 200 quid. That's a therapy session done. Got through. Well done. Fabulous. I was at home in Barnet and I just played, I was just playing and that was fine. And then when I was about 4 or 5, my parents said to me, we're going to school. And I took that literally, we. And it turned out it wasn't we, it was me. What the fuck? And I said, that's fine, that's great, I've had a day. Lovely, thank you, enough. Fine, great. And they said, no, you've got another 13 years. 13 years. I crapped myself and peed my pants the second day I went to school because I was so fucking dispirited by the thought that I was going to spend the next 13 years with a load of wanker teachers like that and being taught such a load of irrelevant shit, he said, being uncontroversial. But of course, what happened in those days, you see, this is the 60s. This is the 60s. And as a culture in Britain, we have this kind of rose-tinted glasses view of the 60s, don't we? That everything was wonderful, especially the early 60s, late 50s. Everything was wonderful. I was there. It was a load of wank. Fuck me, man. We had so many paedophiles in our schools that we had it as an extra lesson. Are you doing double geography and maths? Yeah, I've got double geography and maths and then paedophilia. Because we, as boys, we could never say the word right. And I'll just give you an example. This is a true story. I was in primary school and I was in the last year of primary school and always the deputy head teacher took that last class, because it was the best class. And he took us and he said on the Friday, in the first week, he said, any boys here interested in fishing? And I put my hand up, I was interested in fishing. There's about 4 or 5 of us who were interested in fishing. And he said, come round my house on a Friday afternoon and we'll look at fishing books. Yeah? You lot are a lot older than I was at that age. We thought it was a grand privilege. We thought it was absolutely fantastic. We'd been chosen to go and look at fishing books. We went round his house and he got these really dull books. These in those days, they were all hardbacks, weren't it? Everything was hardback. Nothing was floppy or anything like that. And we were sitting there and it was boring as fuck. There were pie charts and stuff like that. And he said, have a read through them. So we were looking through them and then suddenly all 4 or 5 of us just turned completely red and will not have eye contact with each other. And what he's done, he's spent a long time, is there's black and white plates of fish. The thing, the kind of academic book that I'm talking about. There's a plate with, a fish on it. And he spent hours cutting the breasts out of porn magazines and sticking them to the fronts of the fish. It's a fucking true story. And he spent hours sticking boobs on fish. And we're kind of just sitting there, we're little 10-year-olds going, what the fuck is going on here? For Christ, that's not how when I caught that carp, it didn't look like that. Jesus, I want a fish like that. Oh, fucking hell, man. So, yeah, we had, plate 36B, the Cyprus carpus, the common carp, huge pair of tits. Dace, tiny, delicate little tits. He thought about it. He not just stuck any old pair of tits on. They were the right size. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? We were just like going, what the fuck's happening here? Okay, so what happened? None of us told our parents. None of us spoke about it ever again. And he was so cocky. This is the thing that I remembered the most, was that he was so cocky in who he was that at the end of the session he said, anybody want to take a book home with them, they can. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine it? So that's kind of, where my starting with fishing started. I'm still very interested in fishing. Aren't we all? What I decided when I was about 5 was, okay, I'm not going to take part in this education malarkey. I'm going to fail. And basically, I just failed. I just didn't listen and do anything and kind of just... And, in those days, you didn't get diagnosed or anything like that, like you were just... because nowadays you've got all these things you can be diagnosed as, OCD and ADHD and all these kind of lovely things that you can have. We were diagnosed, very basic diagnosis, you're thick. I was diagnosed as being stupid. Fantastic, the relief that comes. Do you get it? It's brilliant. Nobody asks you, what are you going to be when you grow up? Because you're thick, you're just stupid. You don't do anything. Yeah, and it's a fantastic place to be because in the front of the class, here's the front of the class. We used to call them the chimpanzees because they're all going, because they know the answers. I know the answer. Yeah, and in the middle is the sheep, and at the back is the fucking psychopaths and the sociopaths, isn't it? It's scary. It's a scary place to be, the back of the class. I loved being in the back of the class. There were different lessons going on. There was a lesson at the front on the chalkboard, and there was a fucking different lesson at the back of the class. Jesus fucking Christ. Scary lesson happening in the back of the class. I remember one story, this boy is saying to me, about girls and sticking your hands up their skirts. And I'm going, oh, no, not really. And he goes, if you stick your hand up a skirt, there's a hand that will come out of her pussy and grab hold of your hand. That's the back of the class. I'm still terrified of women, but it's what happens. It's what's being taught about in the back of the class. I love it. And we were diagnosed as being stupid. Fabulous. So you don't do anything, and you just get away with not doing very much, which I loved. And basically, at the back of the class, there was this other boy. He came along, and he was called Bosch. Bish Bosch, we used to call him. Hieronymus Bosch. Anybody heard of him? He was from Belgium, I think, originally. And he was a lovely painter. He used to paint a lot. Paint grotesque animals, like he specialised in these paintings of grotesque beasts, half man, half wolf, or whatever, And that's the back of the class. All these paintings are called back of the class 3 or 4. They're a back of the class. And I'm sure somewhere in amongst them, there's a carp with a pair of tits. It's got to be, hasn't it? My gosh, Hieronymus Bosch, he was a good lad. Anyway, so I left school. I left school at an early age and basically became all the things that everybody predicted I'd be. I was a long-haired hippie living in a squat, selling drugs in West Germany for a while. And I fucking enjoyed myself. Had a good time. I specialised in marijuana. I specialised in cannabis oil. That was my speciality. And nowadays we use it medically, of course. But yeah, in those days it was fabulous. And this is the 1970s. This is the amazing thing about the 1970s, is the early 1970s. I'm without an address, I'm long-haired hippie, I'm selling drugs, can't speak the language, and I got a job working in a children's home with vulnerable children. I mean, it's just gobsmacking. This is true. It's just gobsmacking. It was a social experiment. It was part of a Summerhill kind of A.S. Neil kind of experience. And they wanted me to be the elder brother for these kids. I was about a year older than some of these kids. And it was a phenomenal experience. I spent 3 years living and working with them. And it completely transformed my life, completely changed everything about me, because I found love. because I found kids who cared, people who cared, human beings who cared, who weren't going to be fucking showing me pictures of carp with tits on, you know, and who I love and who love me. You know, 40 years later, to next year, we're going to do a reunion. You know, so I'm going to go see my kids all over again. You know, my kids, they're grandchildren and grandparents now. But it's a phenomenal experience to have such a privileged background. And I had such a privileged background because I was a fucking wheelie-dealing, drug maniac, madman. Yeah, do you see it? I took the opportunities that came. And they gave me so much love, so much understanding that I have through all of this still with me. I got the sack in the end after 3 years, and I went home. And basically that's really where my search for male role models started. You know, that's when I kind of, you know, because I'd had a lot of really strange ones, and then I found these really beautiful children, and then I just thought, well, you know, where is a male role model? And I looked across the front room and saw my dad. My dad, we used to call him the beach whale. You know, he'd lie on the sofa with this huge belly, and he'd have the TV beeper, as he called it, on his belly. No other fucker could touch the bloody thing. And he would decide what we were watching and what we were not watching. And love him, I love my father dearly. And he was convinced that adverts were true. He's a fabulous man. And do you remember some of you are old enough to remember this, when men started wearing deodorant? Do you remember that? You know, it was a kind of social phenomenon that happened. My father's generation were not interested in deodorant at all. And so in those days, suddenly men started wearing deodorant. And it was fantastic, his reaction to it. Do you remember Brute? It was called Brute. And what a name for Brute. You know, think about it. Think about it, for fuck's sake. Brute. I'm wearing Brute tonight, love. You're in, you know. And it's like, and the advert had Henry Cooper and Kevin Keegan. Do you remember? Henry Cooper was a boxer. He's an East End boxer. He had his nose broken when he was about 3 or something, you know, and flattened all the way through. And Kevin Keegan was this perm-haired footballer. And they're in the shower. My dad didn't object to them being in the shower. Fine. They're sportsmen. That's fine. No, sportsmen, washing, having a shower, no problem. No problem. They come out of the shower. They start throwing the deodorant. Do you remember? They used to throw it to each other and stick it on. And he was disgusted. You couldn't see, unbelievable, his reaction to it. He was going, fucking Henry Cooper's gay. Oh my God. Oh my God, Henry Cooper's gay. And it was just gobsmacking for him. He just couldn't believe it. And I was going, how, you know, on what fucking planet is Henry Cooper gay? He said, and this is the phrase he used, it's a really important phrase, he wants to smell like a woman, therefore he's gay. Do you get it? As only gay men want to smell like women. Oh, get a whiff of that, darling. Yeah, so for my men's, you know, for my father, there was this kind of, you know, underarm deodorant was 4 things. You know, a man's underarm had to smell of sweat, alcohol, fags, and engine oil. Those are the 4 things that they'd rub on every morning, you know, kind of rub it on. And then, you know, they'll get through the day, you know, with their lovely, you know, maybe it was such a marketing bloody opportunity I missed, wasn't it? Not to, you know, produce an own underarm deodorant which had those 4 component parts in it, and maybe call it misogynist or something like that. You know, just to have it like that, you know. Oh, sweat, alcohol, cigarettes, and engine oil. Yeah. So what I'm saying is this. That he was taken in, you know, he was taken in by adverts. And I was so much more fucking sophisticated because I was young. And I thought, what a wanker, you know, that he's being so taken in by all this stuff. You know, but of course, I'm being taken in just as he was. All of us are. And we think we're so much more fucking sophisticated, but we're not, because we're all being taken in by modern day advertising and marketing and promotion is on the ball, so in our heads that we don't remember that we're actually being brainwashed by what we're seeing. So there's a television program, it's called Mad Men. Have anybody seen it? I mean, I've never seen it. I don't need to see it, because the name is it all, isn't it? Mad Men. It's about advertising. It's about advertising in the 50s and 60s. It is brilliant. I don't need to see it because it just is exactly what I want to talk about. Madness, the madness of our cultural appreciation of advertising and modern day publicity and promotion. And we're not more sophisticated than my dad. We're just being taken in all the time and regurgitating this concept. And the concept is, kind of summed by so many different adverts. There's an advert at the moment which is for banks, and it's they're talking about, bringing banks to indigenous people. You've seen it. It's the most disgraceful fucking advert ever in the world. That they have an app for people, poor people in foreign places, so they can all get hold of their bank, so they can do banking. Exactly. I mean, it's unbelievable. We are exporting and bringing to these poor people who've spent the last 100,000 years without any bankers, and we're saying, oh well, unfortunately, you're going to need banking. And you need, not only do you need banking, but you need, our special app that is about, how to be screwed by a bank. I mean, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? And this is the way in which we believe our culture is so much more superior than anybody else. And it's a load of wank. It's a load of wank. I went and lived with, as I said, with a semi-nomadic tribe in northern Kenya. And basically, I made a documentary film with them, and I'd sit a lot of the time with the elders, and we'd sit and talk about the world and chew the fat. And they came out with this great phrase: "Why don't you white people all just fuck off?" And they got a fucking point. Why don't you white people just fuck off? And I think, so much interference. We're just so interfering and trying to get involved in other people's bloody lives. It's a load of wank. So I want you all communally to have a little curse here, please. I need you all to have a really respectful fuck off. 2, 3. Fuck off! Yes. And I was in a leadership conference in Hereford, and there was a talk given by this NatWest Bank bloke. Do you remember? And he was showing these triumphant PowerPoint slides of his year out digging fucking wells in sub-Saharan countries in Africa. And how wonderful he was. And he had pictures of him with a hard hat on and other little people with hard hats on digging deep wells. And there were these people, indigenous people from sub-Saharan countries who he'd not dug wells with, who were getting really irate. And then in the end, they had a word with him, and they took him to one side and they said, look, mate, we've lived in our lands for about 20, 30,000 years. We know exactly where the water is. We know exactly where the water touches the top and where it doesn't. The last fucking thing we need is a well, because it will destroy the water table. And those images which you lot are so addicted to of little black kids going 5 miles to the well to get the water and then coming back 5 miles are the ones that you created. You created by digging those wells. Get your fucking heads around that. Community, 1, 2, 3. Fuck off! I love it. I love it. Let's lighten the mood, shall we? Shall we lighten the mood? Let's talk about disease and death, because it's my it is a speciality of mine. I'm very much expert at it. So this here, this stuff, this is Parkinson's. Yeah, so I have Parkinson's, and this stuff going on is Parkinson's. And it's fascinating. When you get an incurable neurological disease, people treat you differently, don't they? They're fucking wankers. And they talk really slowly and really loud, just so that it doesn't fucking affect my hearing, you wanker. So community, fuck off. 1, 2, 3. I'm not fucking deaf. Gee, are you all right? Love, fuck off. There are some great advantages to having Parkinson's. You know, my girlfriend is very keen on the fact that I've got Parkinson's. And she loves the fact that I've got Parkinson's because about 6 o'clock in the morning she can avail herself, and I'm fast asleep still. So, you know, kind of, I'm a fucking sex god, I tell you. In my sleep, I vibrate like nobody else's business. And no batteries needed, you know, and she'll often wake me up in the morning and, you know, I've got 2 sticky fingers, and she says, you know, did you enjoy it, darling? And I said, I don't know, I was fast asleep, love. But I'm sure it was good. There are advantages to having incurable neurological diseases. So, I'm going to tell you a fucking wicked story here, which is the truth. As much as the truth as anything is the truth, which is how did Parkinson's get to be called Parkinson's? Do you know? It's an amazing story. Cameron and his PR people got together with the NHS PR people, and they sold the whole of the NHS off. Beds, buildings, rooms, whatever, you know. And they'd kind of exhausted themselves and the resource. So they said, they had this crisis meeting and they said, what the fuck can we rip off and sell now? And somebody came up with the amazing idea that they could sell off diseases, an illness, and give the naming rights to diseases and illnesses. Do you know where I'm going here? So this is quite an amazing story. It's not true, but it is true. That what happened was that they decided that they would select really stupid men who got more money than sense, and who felt that, you know, any promotion is good promotion, any advertising is good advertising, and they drew up a list. Thank fuck Rolf Harris didn't outbid Michael Parkinson's for the naming rights of this incurable neurological disease. Can you imagine? I'd have the police round every fucking week, wouldn't I? Checking my bloody computers. Yes, you're suffering from Rolf Harris disease. But in the end, Michael Parkinson won. Very, very magnificently won, and he sells. So, you know, part of the deal now is that GPs, it's a very trendy disease, isn't it? Parkinson's, everybody's got Parkinson's. And it's a very trendy thing to have. And it's because he's got a little agreement going that if a GP diagnoses someone as having Parkinson's, they get a tenner. The GP gets a tenner. Yeah, and so I get paid 10p every time I mention Parkinson's. Did I mention I've got Parkinson's? I'm going to Barbados next week. Parkinson's, and so it was up for a naming law, you know, naming rights for this incurable disease, and you know, you can make up new ones if you want. You know, Tony Blair is bidding for forgetfulness. You know. You can make them all up, isn't it? You know, I mean, you could do, you know, Trump is doing whatever. I don't know. I can't even think beyond that one. But basically, yeah, I'm making money. I'm making money out of my disease. You know, I'm no fool. And what, of course, British people are so wonderfully kind of, you know, nice and kind about disease and death and all those kind of things. And, you know, we've really kind of avoided death. And I've avoided death a lot of the time. But every now and again, I kind of come up to it. And I was going to tell this is a true story, as much as any true stories that I tell. I was moved to Stroud about 5 years ago. And one of the people that I knew who was in Stroud was a funeral director. And we were having a chat after I'd moved for a couple of weeks. And we were having this chat, and he goes, the fucking trouble is that there's really tiny terraced houses in Stroud, and the stairs are really tight. And it's really difficult to get a body up and down the stairs. And every now and again, I need a hand. Do you see where I'm going with this? And I thought, well, fuck it, he's never going to bloody call me, is he? So I said, yeah, well, no problem. You know, no trouble at all. You know, you haven't got anything with dead people? No, not at all. No, not at all. 2 fucking weeks later, Jesus Christ, I've got this very steep stairwell, little old lady, can't get her out. Come and give me a hand. Jesus fucking Christ. So he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant at it. He goes to the family, can you all move into the kitchen? Because we want to very respectfully get your mother down the stairs. And it's much easier if you're in the kitchen. He knew what he was fucking doing. Get him out of the way. We get upstairs, lovely old lady, wrapped in a sheet and all this kind of stuff. And get her on a stretcher, strap her in, and he's down the bottom. He's got the feet, and he's backing down the stairs, this very tight corner. And I'm up the top. I've got the top and head and all that. And then suddenly I realise she's starting to slip. She's starting to slip because she's so tiny, and she's gonna crown him, And I've got her arm round my neck now. Her arm is round my neck, and I'm having to push my forehead against her chest in order to prevent her from sliding down. We're coming round the corner, the two of us are coming round the corner like, yes, your mother is fine. She may have lost a limb in the fucking process. I washed this cheek every day and night for 3 weeks afterwards, I tell you. Jesus fucking Christ. There's an old lady smell and there's a dead old lady smell, man. Jesus Christ, you don't want to go there. But yeah, life and death, isn't it? It's lovely. I love it. What I'm starting to see now are little signs that masculinity is changing hugely. There's huge shift happening for men. And, my dad was very secure in his knowledge that to be a misogynist was a good thing. And, men are confused. Men are kind of in this strange little place nowadays, which is a lovely place. And I love just telling a few stories. So, I go for a walk every day up and down Bisley Road. And I remember, at the top of Bisley Road, there's a little green box that is BT. The boxes? And there was a BT man on his little fishing stool. And he had the box open, and there was a million wires, kind of connecting. And I walked down the hill, and then I came back up the hill, and it was raining. It's starting to rain. So he's put his Wendy house out. I love it. He's got a BT green Wendy house that covers the little green thing and himself. So he's now in the Wendy house. And I've had this fantasy, little fantasy that I could creep up and peek through and he'd be serving imaginary cups of tea to little teddy bears dressed as Victorian clothes or so. Do you know what I mean? In his little Wendy house, kind of going, oh, I love you, yeah, let's have a cup of tea together, shall we? Oh, I long for that. I long to be able to see that. But yeah, there's some stories. So I'm going to tell some stories about men, about men that I've hung out with and men that I'm proud of. Proud and brave, heroic, really. There's a lot of heroic men here. You're very heroic to fucking turn up tonight. And it's been a fantastic journey to try and pursue and trying to find men, So it started about 20 years ago. I went to Scott Peck. Do you know Scott Peck, the Path Less Travelled? And I did an event that was with him, which is called community building. Anybody done community building? It's an amazing process. It's just an amazing process. We had 50 men. It's the first all-time that we had all men. And basically you do nothing. You just sit there for 3 days. And the two facilitators get up at the beginning of the fucking thing and they go, no physical violence, I statements. And then they sit down. Bastards. And you got 3 days of it. It's 3 days of it. And it was insanity. It was completely bonkers. And there were people kicking off all over the place and going, we should be doing this. And everybody going, I fucking statements, and it was just complete murder. No control, nothing happening, just completely bonkers. And all these men going, I've done this with women and we'd be crying by now. And we'd all be going, fuck off. And then about a day and a half into literally a day and a half into the process, this Irish man gets up and he stands in the middle of the room, and you know just by looking at him that he has never spoken higher than a tiny little whisper. You know, he was so beautiful, man. And he stood in the middle of the room and he opened up by saying, when I was 4, my parents gave me away to the nuns. At the end of his kind of hour or so, we were about 6 inches deep in tears. You know, just from the power and beauty of a man being brave and telling his story and being honest and clear and saying, this is who I am. And it was such a huge, huge privilege to be in that companionship. And the whole process is that at that moment, all of us thought the same word. That you come to community, that you think the same fucking thing. 50 people. And I know because I was there. And it was so phenomenal. It was such an experience to do. And then the other story that I wanted to tell you about was kind of this project. I do men's groups, and I run men's groups. And I was running this men's group on a regular basis in Stroud. And one of the blokes came in and he said, my son's 18 and he wants to do a rites of passage. Some of you have heard this story before, but I don't fucking care anyway. I'll make it up as I go along anyway. And so he said, yeah, you know, like we all thought, oh, this is a great opportunity to show off being elders. Yeah, bring him in, we'll teach him. We'll tell him what to. And so this 18-year-old kid comes in and he's sat there very sullenly, sitting there going, and I'm going, well, of course, you know, when we do Vision Quest, I did Vision Quest on Dartmoor, 3 days, 3 nights, no sleep, nothing, you know, all this kind of thing. And then one of the other men pipes up and he goes, well, of course, I did 4 days, 4 days and 5 days. Another bloke goes up and he goes, I did 12 days in Spain. And this kid is sitting there going, fuck off. He's going, what a load of weight. And we said, what do you think? Do you want to do a Vision Quest? And he said, this is a true story. He said, it sounds very anal. Fucking brilliant. It sounds anal. So we suddenly realized that there was a stranger in the room and we actually had to need to speak to him. And he said, look, I'm a fucking loner. For me to be away from people, I spend weeks not speaking to anybody. So to do a Vision Quest is just so stupid as to be unbelievable. So we came up with the complete opposite. And we did this ceremony for him, which was the complete opposite of that, which of course is, we called it the kindness of strangers. And we took him, so he's lived in Bristol, and the fucking New Age mothers did this, cutting the ties ceremony, which went on for fucking hours. And Jesus Christ. Banging their bloody drums, doing all this kind of stuff. And in the end, I just walked into the circle and grabbed him by the throat and I just said, in the fucking car, now. And me and John got him on the car and we blindfolded him, and the mum and dad are, screaming, going, oh, I haven't said goodbye to him, And we're just driving off with this 18-year-old blindfold in the back of our car, and we're thinking, if the police stop us now, 2 old men, he's doing a Vision Quest, like he's doing, it's a Native American ceremony. It's, very much so. And I drove him for about 70 miles, or just on the edge of Bournemouth, and to this completely wild place, completely green place, no road signs, nothing. And we bundled him out of the car, took the blindfold off, and we just said, 3 days, 3 nights, get home, go home. No money, no phone, no electronics, nothing, no sleeping bag, nothing, just the clothes that he was in. And we just said, fuck off, goodbye. Come on, community goodbye. Community goodbye. 1, 2, 3. And me and John get in the car and we drive back to Salisbury, and I'm thinking, what the fuck have we done? Jesus Christ. He's going to die. He's going to fucking get killed. Oh my God. Why didn't I put a tenner in his back pocket? You know, all of these thoughts. 3 days, 3 nights. The third night, the parents are fucking going mad. They're going, where is he? He's dead. You've killed him. You've killed our only son. You know, like, it's just like, oh, thanks a fucking bunch. And you know, on the internal level, on the external level, I'm going, of course I believe in the process. It's fine. It'll be fine. Inside I'm going, oh my fucking God, I'm going to be in jail. I'm going to die. He phones me, 4th morning, he phones me from home. Fucking hell, man. Me and John drive down and we spend 6 hours listening to him. Just 6 hours listening to him. And he said he's had the most amazing time of his life. It's completely transformed him. He's got 25 quid in his pocket. He's so full that he had to turn down meals. He's slept in people's beds 3 nights on the trot. And all he's done is he's walked and he's told his story. And he's gone, I'm doing a vision quest. And people have fed him, looked after him. He's ended up in a public speaking conference. And it's just unbelievable. And he's going, I didn't want to fucking come home. No way. Jesus. That's literally it. He said, it was fantastic. He said, I'm literally Jesus. Because I can, you know, he just reached this point where people just went, wow, who are you? Do you get it? He'd so got it. It was just so awe-inspiring. So he told us, the story I love the best, you know, there's hundreds of them. It was just outside Glastonbury, and it's tipping it down with rain, you know, and it's dark and it's night and all that kind of stuff. And then suddenly these police sirens behind him, and he's thinking, oh, fuck, you know, I've got nothing to prove who I am. I can't do anything. And the policeman stops the car behind him, and he gets out, the policeman gets out and leans on the roof, you know, it's tipping it down with rain, and he says, what are you doing? What do you think you're doing? And he's going, I'm walking, you know, I'm walking. And he says, get in the car. Get in the car. And he gets in the car, and he starts saying the story to the policeman. And the policeman says, well, I'll drive you. I'll drive you. If anybody stops us, I've got you under suspicion of taking drugs. And he tells his story. And the policeman gives him a £5 and says, get on with it. Enjoy your life. What a beautiful policeman. What a fantastic process. What a wonderful gift for men. You know, and it's huge rites of passage for us, let alone for him. Jesus Christ. The final story that I wanted to tell is kind of, yes, it's a really interesting one for me. I had a car, I lived in West Wales at the time, and I had a car that used to break down a lot. And it finally went terminal. You know, it went terminal in the Rhondda at some point. And you know, I'm living in the middle of nowhere in West Wales. And so I got the AA out, and the AA blokes turned up. And he's a you know, diesel head, you know, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him and thinking, and he's going, where do you live? And I go, West Wales. And he goes, that's about 3 hours, isn't it? And I'm going, yeah, it's about 3 hours. And we're sizing each other up, thinking, we have nothing in common. We have absolutely fuck all in common. There is no conversation for 3 hours. This is shit. You know, this is going to be the most desperate time. And you know, we've done football, we've done rugby, you know, all of that kind of stuff within 10 minutes. And then we go, oh, and he's just looking at me going, oh, fucking hell. I'm looking at him going, oh, fucking hell. And then somewhere out of him came this thing, which was just so remarkable. And he said, what do you do? And you see, for me, that's a really loaded question, because I normally cry at that point. You know, and I go, I don't know what I fucking do. I haven't got a clue what I do, for fuck's sake. You know, Jesus Christ. You know, be kind to me. And so that day, I don't understand why, but that day I went, I'm a counsellor. Don't know why, but it came out, and I said, I just listen to people. And he's driving, he's got his sunglasses on and he's just driving, he's just looking forward and he's just driving. And then you can hear the clockwork gears in his head going. And then without looking at me, he goes, well, fucking cancel this. And I thought, wow, these 3 hours are going to be beautiful. These 3 hours are going to be fucking wonderful. And they were. It was such a privilege to sit with this man, AA repairman. And he goes, my wife's having an affair with another man. And he tells me the whole fucking lot. And he tells me every dirty detail, how he's chased them and voyeuristically watched them, how he's seen what's going, and he's crying and the tears are running down from his Ray-Bans and all over his face and onto his uniform. And he's just sat there and I'm listening to it. And it's just one of the most amazing experiences for me, such a privilege and an honor to just know that this man has never opened up in that way before. And then suddenly he's gone, fucking cancel this, you wanker. I just thought, wow, what a man. And by the end of it, we're just such good mates. And we've got to West Wales and my missus is watching, and we're taking the car off, the wrecked car. And then of course what happens is that me and him embrace. Here's the AA man, for fuck's sake. And he and I kiss and cuddle. And he whispers in my ear as we're holding each other, he says, if we ever meet again, I don't know you and you don't know me. And my missus has gone, what the fuck is going on here? What the fuck has happened here? Amazing. So, you've been a fabulous audience. I've enjoyed speaking at you, and you've been very tolerant. The boys have been writing this play, The Epic Journey of the Sperm, and what we're going to do is enact it out. So, for the purposes of this play, this room is the uterus. And hold on, let's not be premature now. So, I want you to admire these sperm, because, they're what I'd also like, just a heroic photo of them. Would that be possible, just to bring the camera? From a photo underneath from their chin upwards. So as though they're the Welsh football team, and we all know the national anthem of sperm, don't we? Do we all know the national anthem of sperm?
Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough.
Yeah. There's always fucking one, isn't there? So, the national anthem of the sperm, you can all join in, is the Grand Old Duke of York. Oh, the Grand Old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill and he marched them down again. And when they were up, they were up. And when they were down, they were down. And when they were halfway up, they were up. They were either up or down. Thank you. Round of applause for the national anthem for sperm. Boys, good to see you. Play fair, play well, go well.
Heads or toes?
We are 3 of 300 million, and this is our story. Laura Croft and the Womb Raiders, we could call it. Or Indiana Jones and the Temple of the Womb. It's an epic journey called Call of Duty. We are blind, we have tails, and we swim. Each one of us is different. There's jizz, fizz, and biz. And we all play for the same team, Team Sperm. Okay, go on then. Go find that egg, It's a dark passageway. There are no street lights. We are on a mission. We are eager to find the egg. It's a bit like, oh, that's the wrong hole. Come on, come on. We are all eager to find the egg. It's a bit like Easter and the egg hunt. The uterus has many passageways. It's a long maze, like in Harry Potter. Many of the sperm become exhausted. Many of us die along the way. The 3 die dramatically, it fucking says here in the script. Come on. Die dramatically.
Did I miss my cue?
Some of us are called kamikaze sperm. This is edutainment. Yeah, you know, this is very educational. Some of us are called kamikaze sperm, and the 3 of you get together to block the passageways. Yeah, that's the one. Only about 10,000 make it to the fallopian tubes. They are the fittest and strongest sperms, like in the film The 300. The fallopian tubes has 2 entrances, and the sperm have to make their minds which one to enter. Hundreds of sperms sacrifice themselves, like throwing themselves, as if they were throwing themselves onto grenades, so the few can get through. However, eventually, some make it to the egg. New evidence shows that the egg selects the sperm. She selects and allows the one to get it on. She destroys those she doesn't want to mate with.
Uh-oh.
You're first.
It's choosing time.
She kills jizz. Because last time they got together, they were a god in the Paraguayan jungle. She doesn't want that again. Second sperm, you. Get in there, Martin. The second sperm arrives, and she kills Fizz. Because last time they got together, they made William Shakespeare's uncle. She doesn't want that again. But Biz, it is very wet. But Biz makes it all the way, and she and he have never got it on before. They dance. Round of applause, please. Listen to this one. He is able to pass on his clothes to the egg, especially his jeans. Come on, come on, come on. This is the end of the journey, or is it just the beginning? The union of the 2 creates a baby, and the baby boy is called Nick Clements from Barnet. Thank you. Thank you. Blessings. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's it. That's it. We're done.